motivations behind this lecture, and logistics. I know you're all eyeing the sheet. And then, of course, thanks and introductions to our very distinguished guests today. I'm a senior at Wellesley, and throughout my 4 years here, this is probably the first panel or academic discussion on Japanese politics and economy that I've ever known of. And I think that speaks to kind of the necessity, the visibility of Japanese studies in the department on our campus. So that was kind of the basic motivation behind the theme for our lecture this semester. And then second, I guess, just in terms of logistics, after my short intro, we're very honored to have the Consul General of the Boston Japan Consulate come today at our event. Mr. Muto will be giving a few words before our panelists start speaking. And then we'll have the panelists will speak each on their selected topics. And then we'll have a discussion, taking questions from the audience, and then we'll have food. Right, I guess so. Before all that begins, I'd just like to express my most sincere thanks to so many people who've been instrumental in this process. And I guess I'm just going to start with the speakers. First of all, Kodera Sensei from the Wellesley Religion Department. One of the first speakers to agree to this event. We really appreciated your kind of, I guess, encouragement in doing that. And then Professor Shinju Fujimura and Dr. Miyagawa from the Harvard Leatherhead Institute for International Affairs and U.S.-Japan program. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Boston. And then finally, I'm just going to do it in order from here. Professor Senhee Lee from the Korean Department for taking these part. And then Professor Yves Zimmerman, Chair of the Japanese program here at Wellesley College. Employee is right, yes, but for her encouragement and guidance. And of course, Professor Kodera and Professor Suzuki. I don't know you personally, but you're from the biology department, right? And then finally, last but not least, Professor Maino and Ozawa from the Japanese language department for all your support, kind words, and I guess keeping us in check in a lot of different aspects. So that's all for me, and I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Muto for a few words to the audience.
Well, good evening. Well, I'm very pleased to be here today. Thank you for this opportunity to say a few words at the beginning of today's panel on discussion in Japan. Well, since we have an excellent panelist today, I won't get into details, but let me throw out food for thoughts at the beginning. There are a couple of things that I'd like to mention. First is about the Abenomics. Today's one of the themes. It refers to the economic policy of administration of Prime Minister Abe. It consists of 3 arrows. Well, first and second arrows, the aggressive monetary policy and the flexible fiscal policy, have already impacted positively on the Japanese economy. This year, the second quarter, the GDP of Japan grew at an annualized rate of 3.8%, which is remarkable. But the third arrow, the structural reforms, is crucial. In such areas as labor market reform, agricultural reform, establishing the special strategic zone, the purpose of which is relax the legislation, regulations to encourage and invite more foreign capital for investment in Japan. These are the areas exactly where this administration will face strong opposition from the vested interest. So I'd like to follow you to see how things develop in these areas especially. second point is I want to mention is about the security in the Asia-Pacific region. Nowadays, Japan is ready to fulfill more roles and responsibilities in the region, the purpose of which is to slowly shape a new order together with the United States, where rules consistent with international law should govern instead of coercion or use of forces. This is a kind of combination of balance of power with integration. So in parallel to the balance of power approach, pursue a loose integration through various networking efforts. Well, in this approach, United States and Japan need certain division of labor. In that respect, I want to quote from the article written by the great maritime strategist, late 19th century, president of the Naval War College, Alfred Mahan. His article is "The Problem of Asia and its Effect on International Politics." Quote, "To assure the open door in its fullest sense requires power in evidence, not merely localized in China itself, but asserted over the maritime lines of communication. This inevitable extension effort shows at once the necessity of cooperation among states of division of labor, equally and tacitly recognized." Now here, one of the key words is division of labor. And the original, originally Mahan thought of division of labor between the UK and the United States. But in the current context, Japan and the United States are working more closer for more cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region. And in the current context also, when we talk about division of labor, we should not only focus on the hard power, but also on the soft power. I don't mean to say that the United States should focus on the hard power and Japan should on the soft power. But Japan and the United States, in fulfilling their roles and responsibilities, should utilize a full range of capabilities, both hard and soft. Now lastly, I wanted to mention about the exchanges of students, scholars, and citizens between Japan and the United States. Well, September this year at Harvard University, there was a special event called the J.F. Kennedy Legacy and U.S.-Japan Relations. Now, J.F. Kennedy planned his visit to Japan in 1963 or 1964, which never realized because he was assassinated before. But he was to become the first U.S. president to visit Japan after World War II. He was concerned by the fact that so many young Japanese students went out to the street to oppose against the U.S. bases in the territory of Japan. And he encouraged American administration to reach out to these young students, going beyond the usual contacts of offshore government officials, elected officials, ruling party, or military personnel. He was inspired by an article written. Article's name is "Broken Dialogue with Japan," written by Edwin Reischauer, who was then the professor of Harvard and was later appointed by J.F. Kennedy himself as an ambassador to Japan. Now, at this event I mentioned in the beginning, the message from Caroline Kennedy, the next U.S. ambassador to Japan, was read. So let me quote from this message. "Our countries are bound by deep political, economic, cultural, and strategic ties, and our relationship has a global reach. We share a commitment of freedom, human rights, the rule of law. If confirmed as ambassador, one of my priorities will be to increase exchanges between American and Japanese students, scholars, and citizens so that future generations will understand a shared history and continue to bind the two nations even closer." End of quote. I think grassroots exchanges occupy a great role in diplomacy. Without the understanding of young people, younger generations, it is impossible to sustain the U.S.-Japan relationship. So please do take interest in this relationship, and don't hesitate to be part of exchanges or occasions for exchanges that you might come across in the future. Thank you very much.
Please feel free to take the focus. Yeah, please go ahead.
So hi everyone. Sorry to be late. My name is Lecture-Abenomics. I'm currently a research associate at the Lecture Center at Harvard University. And before coming to Boston, I've been working as the kind of banker for the public financial institution for development management for 15 years. And during the 15 years, I went to UCLA and got my PhD in economics. And I worked as a kind of basic research economist. So basically, I'm an economist. And today, my job is to talk about the kind of very rough sketch about Abenomics and the extremely preliminary evaluation of the Abenomics. Actually, last week, I attended some kind of program organized by an Ansfield Foundation, that is the US-based foundation, and financed by the University of Wisconsin. And I met several very high-end US officials, and they asked about what is your interest in Abenomics. And most of them say that, all right, so we don't need a 300-page course about Abenomics, just to bring some sketch of Abenomics. That's what we need. So in that sense, today's my presentation might be helpful to sort out what is going on in Japan. Okay, let me start from the basic stuff. Muko-san have already gave us a very excellent summarization. Just quickly for the context of Abenomics. So as you know, it consists of three parts: monetary policy, fiscal policy, and kind of micro policy. And the monetary policy consists of the inflation target and kind of quantitative easing policy, that is injecting money into the banking system. And the third one is the kind of the BOJ's job as the investor of the banking, to find a massive amount of the JGB. That is the third. And the fiscal policy, list of the items sounds really familiar, basically the public expenditure and some tax reduction. But the important thing is they have some story. So when you see the first item, it says recovery from the greatest Japan earthquake. So it's certainly the public expenditure, but it has to be used for the recovery. So it has some story. And the second one is also saying that the public spending on the delivery-related infrastructure. Some of you might know that some accidents are known in Japan. We know that some of the infrastructure is actually deteriorated. So again, there is some story. We're going to pay some money for the public expenditure, but it has to be used for the kind of fixing the deteriorated infrastructure. And the third one is again has some story which supports some productive activity or some companies innovative activity. And the last one is still kind of vague because that contains lots of things. For example, as Muko-san mentioned, the reform in the labor market is very important thing. For example, the increasing the labor participant rate for the female workers, or the improving the working environment for the young workers, very important thing. And at the same time, energizing the productive young startup companies, or reforming the agricultural industry is the another issue. What have should I finish? 15, 20.
Yeah, 7:20.
Right. So what do you feel about this? And actually, I've been teaching some economics class in Waseda University, and this kind of presentation is just boring because it's just a text. You don't feel anything. But let me try to entertain you. So one way to do that is make some story again. The one unique feature of the Abenomics is the kind of simultaneity. So that they're gonna do the several policies at the same time. So I think that is the one interesting feature. So that on one day, on one side, they're gonna do the massive and aggressive monetary policy, and at the same time they're doing the fiscal policy at the same time. And meantime they try to sort of elaborate the growth strategy and try to improve some of the micro strategies. So that one message is that they're going to use all of the policy measures to achieve the overall recovery in the Japanese economic condition. So that is, I think, the one of the most important features of the So why is they do that? So obviously, simply because that is the fact. But they also have some reason to do it. For example, if you see the first rules, it says very delicate market issues. By the way, the first circle should be in the inflation targeting, not in the market issues. I intended to connect the inflation targeting policy and the JGB's BOJ's operation in the JGB market. So I say this is related to the very delicate market issues. Why? Because it's kind of macroeconomics 101. The nominal interest rate comes from the summation of the real return. So nominal interest rate coming from the real interest rate plus inflation rate. So if you try to boost up the inflation rate, usually there are some hike in the nominal interest. But and if they want to do that kind of inflation targeting because exiting from the deflation mode very much. Exiting from the I said that this topic should be here. So what I'm trying to say is exiting from the deflation mode is important for the revitalize Japanese economy. But if they do too much, that might lead to the higher interest rate. And that's going to be the problem for the corporates and individuals. So that they need to think about carefully. So they need to carefully balancing those two items, pushing the inflation targeting and controlling the interest rate. So that's the reason why I said that is a very delicate market issue. And that is one reason why they need to do several policies at the same time. Because you're going to just pushing the inflation targeting in one way, it's going to lead to higher interest rate. And that's going to damage some of the In the same meaning, I connect this lower interest rate story to the historical expenditure. Again, this is the both sides of the coin. Because if you want to do some massive public expenditure, you have to finance that expenditure. And usually that's going to be financed through the Japanese government. But if you just issue the bonds of the JGB, it's going to lead to, again, a higher interest rate. And it's going to go back to the fiscal balance. So that, again, they need to do several things at the same time so that they can achieve the goal. And another story is here. I say through tax reduction, they try to revitalize the productive private sector. But at the same time, they use several kind of regulation policy in some several fields. So they, in a sense, as I said before, doing several things at the same time is very effective. Okay, so there's some reason to do that at the same time. And I think that is the one feature of the Abenomics. So how can we evaluate the result of the Abenomics? So I'm going to show you a bunch of pictures which consists of the time series data of the stock price and the Japanese government bond yield and the currency rate. And by using that, let's think about how we can evaluate the result of the Abenomics. But before doing that, let me sort out the timeline of the Abenomics. As you know, the second Abe cabinet launched at the end of the last year, and right after the launching, he introduced the fiscal policy. And after the policy speech about the Abenomics, Kuroda-san's BOJ started, and they're going to start the so-called massive, very aggressive monetary policy. There are some lag between those two items to the growth strategy, but now they are trying to implement this growth strategy. Okay, so what is the dynamics of the stock price? There's some upward tendency even before the new cabinet, but there are some upward trend, and there are some speculative motive and speculative investment, and there are some burst, small burst, but still they are keeping around 50,000 yen in the Nikkei average. And if you go back to 15,000 yen is not that bad actually. So this is the 5-year window, and I went back to 1998. And 15,000 yen is not extremely great, but that is not so bad. So that I think that in terms of the stock price, the level is low so far. What about the interest? This is the 10 years bond yield. And as you know, the bond and the stock is kind of substitute. So there's usually the price of the stock and price of the bond was one way, but the interest rate was similar as the stock price. And what I want to say here is, here you have some downward trend in the interest rate. And it's kind of unusual because as you saw, stock price stays at almost stays at the 15,000 yen. Usually we expect that the interest rate is not going to change. But here you have the grinding trend of the interest rate. So this can be used as the sort of the evidence supporting the DOJ's aggressive because they kind of achieving that they wanted to do. Actually, this level means 0.6% is actually extremely low. If you go back to the 5 years, if you go back to the last 5 years. And behind these two variables, what happened to the currencies? This is the yen, actually over the last 1 year, the yen became cheap. And this level is actually cheap over the last 5 years. So my extremely preliminary evaluation of the result of my own is focus on it. So price stays at the high level, and the interest rate stays at the lower level. And part of that might come from the this cheap yen or some placebo effect. But still, they according to this kind of economic variables, they give the job. That is my preliminary evaluation. But I think there are at least 3 concerns. First one is volatility of the money market. This is the gross investment amount for the JG. And I divide that investment amount into several types of investment. For example, this blue bar corresponds to the Stiban. Stiban is the Tokyo Mitsubishi Nikko or SMBC, that kind of thing. And on the top one, like a pale blue color, that corresponds to foreign investment. Foreign investor usually, in this case, corresponds to the foreign central bank or hedge fund. And it's kind of difficult to see what is going on. Let me take that as a share. What you can see here is, by the way, this starts from 1998. It's right now rising. What you can see here is you're going to see the large decline in the investment amount by the city, okay? And some increase in the foreign investment. So that means that the sum of the bond investment crucially depends on the foreign. Why is this a problem? Because, by the way, this is the net amount, so this part is the gross investment, gross buy, and this is a gross sell. As I said, the foreign investors buy bought a lot. And the Stiban decreased a lot, and moreover, they were actually selling the bond. That means in a net position, they are selling. Okay. Why is this a problem? Because this is related to the interest rate. What's going to happen if no one buys JG? Price goes down, interest rate up. That is the usual concept. Okay. Right now, nothing is happening because DOJ is buying tons of JG. And at the same time, foreign investors stay at the market. But what happened this time? The condition is reversed. In other words, what's going to happen if the BOJ exits from this policy regime? And at the same time, what's going to happen if foreign investors like the US Treasury or the Chinese central bank exit from this market? It's going to lead to the higher interest rate naturally. And this is not what we do. Okay? And the reason why I said this market function is fragile is that they are hinged on those two parts: central banks, massive investment, and foreign investors' behavior. So that is one of my concerns. And the second one, let me skip this part. Second one is the little bit more fundamental question. This is the decomposition of the Japanese decomposition of the productivity. This blue line corresponds to the growth rate of productivity in the Japanese company, and as they're going to decompose that growth into several parts. And my message here is that there's some declining trend after the 1990s, and some of the economists, including me, figure out that this kind of declining trend comes from two parts. First one is here. Red arrow. Red arrow is the called leasing effect. Leasing effect means firm themselves tries to influence the productivity by reshuffling the products. And it seems that the Japanese government seems to do very well in that job, but recently that kind of resource allocation is not working well. And another one is here, exit effect. Exit effect usually contributes to the growth of the TFP in a positive way, because usually in a natural selection mechanism, bad guy is, and that kind of exiting behavior contributes positively to the productivity growth. But here you can see negatively. What does this mean? One interpretation is the good enterprises, good institutions went out from Japanese market, like the manufacturing. They're going to move their plants, for example, from the Japan to the other countries. It's going to lead to this kind of negative impact coming from the US. So my concern is that we need to do something in this context. Okay? And obviously this is the target of the third arrow, but I don't have enough information to evaluate the achievement of this. And the third one is the fourth arrow. I mean, someone say that the Olympic game in 2020 is the fourth arrow, but for me, I think that this fiscal policy, fiscal balance issue is the fourth arrow. I mean, as you know, that the Abe-san decided on increasing consumption tax. And that is the first step toward this direction. Actually, I don't have enough time to explain this picture, but as you know, there's a tons of accumulated public debt. And in order, we need to do something to sort of balance out and achieve the sustainable fiscal policy. Okay, this is our slide. And as I said, for me, it seems that the uniqueness of the Abenomics is the combination of the classical policy measures and achieve something. And it might be, so far, it seems that they are doing a very good job. And it might be coming from the cheap Japanese yen or some placebo effect, but according to the steps, I think they are doing a very good job. And also, I didn't mention this stuff, but it seems the current Japanese government has lots of political resources to the economic issue, not the history issue or some international navigation issue. So then it's again a good sign. As I said, for me, I'm doing usually the empirical research about the financial economic stuff and some volatility analysis. For me, the growth strategy is a fundamental issue, and this is the target of the policy, and everything hinges on successfulness of this And my biggest concern is here. Actually, a few weeks ago, we had a Vice Prime Minister in Italian province, Shimura-san, in Canada.